सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। So we'll start with some chanting first. Hari Om Ji. Anyone wants to practice with 15th, 16th and 17th verse first? After me, I'll chant first and then unless until you are confident and you can do it yourself.
Deepti, I'll go.
Please. Would you like to do it yourself?
15th, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just try.
Okay.
Angam galitam palitam mundan dashanavihinam jatam tundam vruddho yati gruhitva dandam tadapi na munchatyasha pindam.
Very good. Just grahitva. The ikar is long.
Okay. Gruhitva dandam.
Very good. Next verse.
Agre vanhi prishte bhanuhu ratro chubuka samarpita januhu karatala tadapi namunchat yasha pasha.
Excellent. Next one. Kurute Ganga Sagara Gamanam.
Kurute Ganga Sagara Gamanam.
Vrata Paripalanam Athavanam.
Vrata Paripalanam Athavanam.
Jnana Vihina Sarvamatena.
Jnana Vihina Sarvamatena.
Muktim na bhajati janmashatena.
Mukti na bhajati janmashatena.
Muktim na bhajati janmashatena.
Mukti मुक्तिं न भजति जन्मशतेन
कुरुते गंगा सागर गमनं व्रत परिपालनमथवा दानम्
कुरुते गंगा सागर गमनं व्रत परिपालनमथवा दानम्
ज्ञानविहीनः सर्वमतेन मुक्तिं न भजति जन्मशतेन
ज्ञानविहीनः सर्वमतेन मुक्तिं न भजति जन्मशतेन
कुरुते गंगा सागर गमनं व्रत परिपालनमथवा दानम् ज्ञानविहीनः सर्वमतेन मुक्तिं न भजति जन्मशतेन
कुरुते गंगा सागर गमनं व्रत परिपालनमथवा दानम् ज्ञानविहीनः सर्वमतेन मुक्तिं न भजति जन्मशतेन
Very good, very good. Someone else wants to do the next verse? 18th and 19th. Where's it's there?
May I read it?
Yeah, please. सुरमन्दिरतरुमूलनिवासः
सुरमन्दिरतरुमूलनिवासः
शय्याभूतलमजिनं वासः
शय्याभूतलमजिनं वासः
सर्वपरिग्रहभोगत्यागः
सर्वपरिग्रहभोगत्यागः
कस्य सुखं न करोति विरागः
कस्य सुखं न करोति विरागः
सुरमन्दिरतरुमूलनिवासः शय्याभूतलमजिनं वासः
सुरमन्दिरतरुमूलनिवासः शय्याभूतलमजिनं वासः
सर्वपरिग्रहभोगत्यागः कस्य सुखं न करोति विरागः
सर्वपरिग्रहभोगत्यागः कस्य सुखं न करोति विरागः
सुरमन्दिरतरुमूलनिवासः शय्याभूतलमजिनं वासः सर्वपरिग्रहभोगत्यागः कस्य सुखं न करोति विरागः
सुरमन्दिरतरुमूलनिवासः शय्याभूतलमजिनं वासः सर्वपरिग्रहभोगत्यागः कस्य सुखं न करोति विरागः
Very good. Next one also. योगरतो वा भोगरतो वा
योगरतो वा भोगरतो वा
संगरतो वा संगविहीनः
संगरतो वा संगविहीनः
यस्य ब्रह्मणि रमते चित्तम्
यस्य ब्रह्मणि रमते चित्तम्
नन्दति नन्दति नन्दत्येव
नन्दति नन्दति नन्दत्येव
योगरतो वा भोगरतो वा संगरतो वा संगविहीनः
योगरतो वा भोगरतो वा संगरतो वा संगविहीनः
यस्य ब्रह्मणि रमते चित्तं नन्दति नन्दति नन्दत्येव
यस्य ब्रह्मणि रमते चित्तं नन्दति नन्दति नन्दत्येव
योगरतो वा भोगरतो वा संगरतो वा संगविहीनः Yasya brahmani ramate chittam nandati nandati nandatyeva.
योगरतो वा भोगरतो वा सङ्गरतो वा सङ्गविहीनः यस्य ब्रह्मणि रमते चित्तं नन्दति नन्दति नन्दत्येव.
Very good. Keep it up. Thank you. So we were doing the 18th verse. We had almost finished it, but just to take a little elaboration on the last line, Kasya sukham na karoti viragaha. The first three lines are talking about giving up mentally the need for acquisitions and possessions and the chase for it, the involvement in it, the desperation for various pursuits which involve acquiring and possessing objects. When someone has a value for a higher pursuit, and when we say higher pursuit, we definitely are in tune with what Vedas have shown us. Moksha is a goal for every human being, recognized or unrecognized, understood or ununderstood. It remains so. Towards that, every life is an opportunity given to us to make some movement towards that pursuit, towards that goal, towards that end. As we start the pursuit, initially that end, that goal looks very far off and it looks very distant and it looks outside of us. Somewhere in creation, we are looking for it. We think moksha that has to be based upon what I do in the world. It is based upon how I am in the world. So, initially, our orientation being outside with the world because of the senses, we accept that all our understanding of moksha will be also one of the pursuits of becoming something. Moksha means I am not today something, I have to be something tomorrow, and it is somewhere in the external world. Like how a lot of Vaishnavas would accept. Where is moksha? For Vaishnava, what is moksha? It is staying with Vishnu in Vaikuntha Lok. That is moksha. For Vishishta Advaitam, what is moksha? For them, moksha is to accept that if I have a form of uh, any higher being, their guru, and they see guru as God himself and serving that endlessly. In fact, they say we don't want moksha. We forever want to be in a state where we can serve our own guru or whoever they look upon. That is their idea of moksha. As one keeps maturing, Vedantic study becomes an appeal only at a very mature stage of thinking, which means in one of the Upanishads, uh, he says, the verse is Pariksha Lokan Karmachitan. Having done Pariksha, Pariksha means I have examined what all the lokas means all the seven lok up and seven lok down, Swarg lok, Patal lok, and in between all. From our Puranic knowledge, we know there are 14 lokas on an average. There are lots in between. There are many, but these are 14 markers of lokas. Karma Chitan, they are the ones that are attained through karma. And as you keep going in the higher and higher loka, you have more and more happiness compared to what you have on a human life, in a human body. Through a human body, how much happiness can one get? As you keep ascending in the lokas, that much more happiness is compounded and it is more lasting. till Brahmalok, which is the highest. You stay with Brahmaji till Brahmaji dissolves the creation. All of this is based upon karma and its phal. As a human being, the kind of karma we do up to Brahmalok is what we are eligible for in higher terms. And based on the karma, again lower and lower till the lowest, more and more dukh, more and more struggle, more and more, etc., till the lowest point. All this movement, uh, another Upanishad says, Dvau Suparnau, two birds sitting on a tree. One is looking at another who's eating the fruit. One keeps eating the fruit of the tree. The other only looks at that bird who's eating the fruit. The one who's eating the fruit is who? Is the one who is involved in karma and in the world. अपने कर्मों का फल भोग रहे हैं, enjoy करें. कर्म करेंगे हम किसके लिए? For a better tomorrow, for a better future, and I am looking forward to it. That is entirely based on rag. I have a rag. Rag means I have a deep desire for a specific kind of an enjoyment in the world. Up to Brahmalok. Ye hai rag, which is prompting us to do better and better karmas. Be conscious of our karmas, be mindful of our karmas, be careful of not doing those that are prohibited, those that hurt. So we learn what are the right karmas and then we abide in those right karmas. But the idea is that they will give us better and better lokas. But who is the one? That first verse said, the one who has become nirvedam. Nirvedam means he's developed a dispassion. What is a dispassion? Whatever fruits that can come in creation, कर्मों से जो भी प्राप्त हो सकता है, even if you say ब्रह्मलोक प्राप्त होता है, this person who has discerned, अपने सब लोकों में घूम घूम के has acquired that wisdom through experience that no fruit is permanent. कोई फल, कोई सुख, in other words, permanent nahi hai. No happiness is lasting, even if it is Brahmalok happiness. Karma Chitan. This person has traveled through various lokas based on karma and has gained that consolidated wisdom by their own conclusion that I enjoy a period of time of my sukham and then of happiness, which looks wonderful and non ending at that time. But I come back to the stage of limitation. I come back to the stage of being an individual. I come back to the stage of where I have to once again start the journey of looking for my happiness. Where now? So, in spite of having stayed with Vishnu himself, even the Devtas have to return back, is what is said. The one whose perception of what karmas can give has become acute, available to them. They lose interest in the gati of karma. What karma and its involvement and its pursuit can bring them. They lose interest in it. Means I am not interested in the fruits because they're temporary. Since they are temporary, I know they are there today, but I'll lose them at some point. And if I'm going to lose them at some point, and I'm going to coming back to the same stage of struggle, it's a waste of time and effort and energy. And I don't know how many janmas. How many janmas will I take to exhaust that punya phalam? Even if I have acquired a lot of punya and I have staying with Brahmaji, entire kalpa of Brahmaji, I'll have to stay with Brahmaji and wait on his doorsteps, on his anugraha. God knows when he'll give me Atma Vidya, because without Atma Vidya, I have no moksha. Even with Brahmaji, I can come straight fall down. Fall down means I come back to the state of this jivatva. Upanishads are extremely awakening, that knowledge which our senses will not derive, that awakening that this chakram, again and again, in this chakram, the need for happiness doesn't culminate. Where does it culminate? It only culminates in knowing who you are. So, such a person, when he starts the journey in any lifetime, to say, okay, now I have understood all what lokas can give me and I'm not interested in it. Tell me what is that Atma Lok? One of the lokas, they'll call it as Atma Lok. And I think it is in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad they mention. What is that Atma Lok? The question is that Atma Lok means jahan pe I can abide in my own Atma Bhav. Atma that I am, I abide in it. What is that place? What is that sthan? What is that where which is called Atma Lok? A beautiful word. The one who starts the discernment for that lok develops a disinterest in most of the things that the world offers us happiness. वो जो राग से हम पहले काम करते थे, that rag which on dvesh, which was propelling us to act, the one who has consolidated that these are all temporary fruits. They have a beginning and therefore they end. Any anandam which has a beginning, any happiness that has begun in an experience, due to an experience, that experience is going to end. It is not going to be endless. A simple example, I enjoy lollipop. Before I'm having a lollipop, I don't have any anandam. When a minute I have the lollipop in my mouth, I say, oh, heaven, wow, wonderful, or a cup of coffee or anything. And this is so enjoyable, wonderful, this flavor. Nothing like this in the world, I will say. You won't find this anywhere. This joy is not there anywhere in the world. A lot of us do that with our mother's cooking, etc. Anything. We may attribute it to anything. Idea is it's an example. हमें वो सुख ऐसा दिखता है, ऐसा लगता है कि वो सुख के अलावा दुनिया में और कोई सुख है ही नहीं. That sukh is ultimate sukh. Shastra says, here the person who's able to recognize that that happiness is so conditional, is so momentary, and because it began when the object touched the tongue, and that tongue must have its saliva and its water content for that taste bud to get the taste of it, when the buddhi has become so available and has broken down the experience of joy into components. Where is the joy? Where is the joy? Okay, now, any verse that comes to your mind when you hear this from Bhaj Govindam? When you have broken a joy into components, you realize where is the joy. Any verse that we've already studied in Bhaj Govindam that comes to your mind? Nobody? Where is the... Hmm.
Is it the first one?
First one? Very good. Not the first one.
Okay.
Nari stanabhara nabhi desham drishtva maga mohavesham Etana mamsavasadi vikaram. And then Etana mamsavasadi vikaram. Manasi vichintaya varam varam. Manasi vichintaya varam varam. When you break it up again and again into components, a form is alluring, a form is enchanting, a form is attractive, a form is looked upon as a source of happiness. But when I break it up in components, that attributed happiness dissipates, dissolves, disintegrates. There is no happiness in it. Like, for example, just now, the example I took, if I enjoy a lollipop, I see a lollipop in the shop and I say, oh, if I get it, I'll get a lot of happiness. And then I go buy that. Actually, where is the happiness? I have spent the money. Money was my potential happiness. I have ready to do tyag of that money. See the word tyag. We have it in us. When am I ready to give up that money? When I see that object and its gain can give me happiness. I'm ready to give up what is already there in my hand as a potential happiness. मैं उसको छोड़ सकती हूँ. I'll buy a lollipop. The minute I buy the lollipop, I love it seeing its beautiful yellow or orange color and round figure or whatever that teddy bear figure it has. And then I open the wrapper with rasa drooling in my mouth. Already, before even I have had it, there is rasa there already because my memory is triggered. It's so yummy. And then I taste it. The minute I taste it, I said, this is final joy of life. Now, what is the verse that we are trying to understand telling us? The one who breaks it in component. I am parting with my money. Money is what? It's a potential greater happiness. I am parting with that money for what? What am I bargaining it for? What am I getting in turn of it? I'm getting something which is very short lived. As long as the lollipop is in my tongue, I have the first taste is the highest. I'm finding it very beautiful throughout all these social media graphs that you see, engagements. It starts the top and then dhire, 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 it comes down, it comes down. The pleasures are like that. It has a peak first. Our first one is peaked up, and then dhire, 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 that pleasure, even while the lollipop is still not finished. It is still there, you're still enjoying. But by the time your enjoyment is actually gone. The last few pieces, you're not really, bit of it is not enjoyable. You've done, the enjoyment is gone. When you break it up, you realize, where was the enjoyment? Was it in parting of the money that I had joy? Was it actually in the idea that this lollipop is going to give me the joy? But honestly speaking, I can only enjoy the lollipop if my health is good. If I'm unwell and you bring a lollipop in front of me, I can get angry enough to whack you because you are showing me an object of my interest and my like when I can't have it. I'll get angry. I can even get angry at that point, which means this whole idea of happiness based upon possessions and acquisitions. And we all have it all around us. We can engage our life in it. The one who's ready to do tyagaha of that idea, sarva parigraha bhoga tyagaha. The third line in the verse, in verse 18. Sarva parigraha bhoga tyagaha. Which means I'm seeing a lollipop. Once the lollipop is had, now my idea has shifted to something else. If I have nothing much, excuse me, nothing much to do, then I'll look for something to listen, or I'll do something, I'll call up someone, I'll do some work, something or the other. All of this is keeping me involved with an idea that there is happiness, potential, potential happiness. And when I actually contacted the one who is awakened to realize there really was no happiness in it. I'm sorry. As I said, Bhaj Govindam means Moha Mudkara. If we don't break the Moha here, then there is no chance for us. If we are going to shy with our words, and if we are going to go put it, package it again in a beautiful way so that it doesn't hurt anybody or something, then we are losing the point. This is Moha Mudkara. If I'm not able to recognize that in none of my sensory acquisitions and pleasures is actually a pleasure anywhere at all. It's a difficult thing to digest when we are in the seeking mode of life. But that's the truth. The one who's decided that this is pleasure seeking keeps me in a chase, like we just saw in the verse yesterday, also in the Bhagavad Gita. Desires are Maha Ashanaha, Maha Papma. They are great consumers. Maha Ashanaha means go on feeding it, it will never say, I've had enough. That desperation for pleasure will never end. The more you seek, the more it grows. The more you fulfill it, the more it wants. It's like our need for convenience. When you look back a few years ago, our ancestors, even our grandparents, lived in such difficult conditions. I mean, especially house, the way they maintained their home. They lived in such difficult conditions, struggled every day of their life with hardships. They were doing the pisna themselves. There were so many things they were doing even a little before. What has happened because of a human need for convenience? Today, our homes are absolutely convenient. Is our happiness equivalent to our ancestors' happiness, to our grandparents' state of mind? Are we better off? Physically, materially, we are far better off. But is the state of mind better than them? It's a direct proof that the acquisition and preservation of things is not going to make our state of living actually better. Our minds don't experience more. Absolutely. Our minds don't experience more happiness just because, in fact, Maha Ashanaha, the more we have given them, the more we want them. The more we have given to convenience, the more we are dependent on them, and the more we need them now. We are not able to be independent of them. We don't know a lifestyle which is independent of our televisions and our phones now, even our telephones. We don't know what our life is independent of them. And when we were kids, we have seen the evolution of telephones and televisions in our home. But within these few years, what has happened? Our lives have got tied around making our comfortable existence. Parigraha. Parigraha means acquire. For what? Bhogaha. So we are acquiring things with an idea that they are going to give me happiness and comforts, and those comforts will elevate my suffering. And in fact, most of us really think like that, even those who pursue the higher values, that once I have a comfortable existence, then I will dedicate and devote my time to my study. You are chasing a shadow. It will never happen. Once things get comfortable, then I will dedicate my time for study. That comfortable thing never happens in the external world. It is always going to be along with. The one who has decided or has chosen or has understood, discerned well that इस परिग्रह को कहीं हमें ही लिमिट डालनी पड़ेगी. We are the ones who will have to put a limit because they exhaust our life. There is no time left for Bhaj Govindam. There is no time left for deeper reflection. There is no time left for any personal sadhana that is to be done, if such a case is there, that there is no time left, then dukran karne, my life is wasted, and on a conveyor belt, I'm coming back again. As our luggage goes on a conveyor belt, we go for a little while into the unmanifest behind that black belt. You can't see. After some time, even if you missed it, don't worry, it's coming back. You'll pick it up in the second round. That conveyor belt is our existence unless and until the minute someone understands some lifetime I will have to put a slow down. A lot of world is doing it now. People have started recognizing. I'm not so aware of uh, art, but you hear it. Many people have started simplifying their life, understanding that these things don't mean much, but simplifying it and directing it where. The question is not just to simplify. So, the first three lines have told us of a person who has simplified their life. Minimum, whatever they need, minimalistic living. They call it the minimalistic living. You know, tiny homes, minimalistic living, all those kind of life patterns are emerging, very taking up because people have realized earning money and spending life on them is not what is giving them security or happiness. There are more mental ailments that are surfacing in human life than actually what comforts should have given us the contentment and the joy. So people have started परित्याग करना शुरू तो किया है. People have started giving up these kind of mindless chases that we have for material pursuits. But is it directed to the inquiry of what is real? What is it that ought to be pursued? So even if they have reduced it, the direction not being there, it is still a state of a temporary uh, quietude before they'll jump into something else which will take their fancy. But the one who has understood, I draw my line because I preserve my energy and time and my focus and attention, and I direct it to what is permanent and where is that permanent. How do I approach it? How do I seek it? How do I gain it? Where is the starting of that journey if one hasn't started? And if one has, I remain on it. He says here, consciously, when someone has given up excessive chase of things, that is out of understanding, out of Vivek Shakti, you have broken the components till the enjoyment has disappeared from that object. There is no longer an happiness seen there. That much pratipaksha, that much Vivek Shakti you have employed, that is viragaha. Virag, virag, without rag. And vairagyam is that state in which your mind is now independently able to be content without the need of these chases and their fulfillments. That's the state of the mind. Vairagyam is the state of that mind. That vairagyam, who will not get happiness out of vairagyam is the question. Kasya sukham? To whom will vairagyam not give happiness? That endless maha ashanaha, you have seized the fire. The desires which keep on compounding themselves, when you have managed the desire seekingness in you, that vairagyam is an independent state of your contentment and happiness that you have discovered by yourself. Atmaratihi, Atmasantushtihi, Atmatriptihi. By yourself, being happy by yourself, content by yourself with what comes by your own effort, and that ends there. Whom will Vairagyam not give happiness? It's a prashna, which is not a question but affirmation, to say it will Vairagya gives happiness to everyone. Not only does Vairagya give happiness, Vairagyam truly is also the only way to find fulfillment. It looks contradictory. But through Vairagyam only one actually gets fulfilled. Initially, what is our idea? Only when I seek things, I will get fulfilled. But actually, Shastra's vision is when you have Vairagyam of that seeking, will you find fulfillment? When do you really feel fulfilled? When I am independent of the need on which I previously thought I will be happy because of it. That state of fulfillment comes because of Vairagya. And then this is highlighted. In fact, Bhaj Govindam is said to be a prakarnam for Vairagyam, to inculcate Vairagyam in us. That is why each verse gives us breaking up of that delusion, that fancy and attraction for things around, which involves us. Moha Mudgara means learn to see it in the right light, learn to see things as they are, accept them as they are. Like, for example, okay, I'm going to be again Moha Mudgara, so strong example. People think children are a source of
Happiness.
happiness. Astuva. Is it true? How long? For how long? Is it truly just always a source of happiness? Ultimately, why did you get blood pressure? Who is the cause of your blood pressure? Whom do you attribute the cause of your blood pressure?
Indriya.
Indriya.
Giving up, giving up to your Indriya. Rag, dvesh,
Huh.
you don't
In this
pay
example,
Indriya.
I'm just restricting it to this example for the sake of conveying. If I look, everybody looks upon children as a source of joy. Ultimately, is it true?
No, Ji.
Huh. Everybody who has more for children and grandchildren should answer this question. Why did you get blood pressure? What is the stress in your life due to? What are you anxious about? Are you anxious about your moksha? What are you anxious about? Hanji?
Child's
Exactly. So what is it now a source of happiness? If your child doesn't get admission in the right school, or if they're grown up and they don't get a right partner, or everything around them. The joy only lasted the first few moments when you held the newborn in your arms for a little while. After that, what was it? A series of nothing but heartaches and mind aches, and I don't know, I don't even know the words for it. It was nothing but a repetitive cycle. अगर वो कुछ मेडल ले आए तो थोड़ी देर के लिए खुशी है, नहीं लाया तो वो प्रॉब्लम है, और वो उसको खुद को प्रॉब्लम है कि why did I miss my medal, and therefore now you. This is what our minds are involved in. Sarva parigraha bhoga tyagaha. If you just take it as a technical part, everybody has understood. When one who has given up the seekingness of all acquisitions, everybody has understood the translation, everybody has understood the explanation. But my mind is where? Ragaha. I am attached in my aham and mama. My mind is still involved with अरे उसके साथ ऐसा क्यों, वो क्यों नहीं, ये क्यों नहीं, वो क्यों नहीं. That moha that I am carrying, that moha is the cause of my sorrow, and that moha is what is as an obstacle to vichar, Atma Vichar. So even if I listen to Vedantic portions, my mind is still active, triggers itself only when this portion comes up, when Aham and Mama comes up. Therefore, he says, but the one who has discerned and understood, okay, nobody says don't have children and life is going to continue. But you're looking at happiness over there. ये सोच के कि आनंद मिलेगा, that at least I have to hammer. They are a life of their own. You were chosen as a parent for them. Blessing indeed, no doubt about it. But Jiva, a Jiva and Jiva, everybody is related at one end and no one is related at another end. Everyone is related at one end. From one point, everyone has a relation. We are all related at one point. Simultaneously, at another point, no one's related. Which point no one is related? From which standpoint everyone is related, and from which standpoint no one is related? From which standpoint everyone is related first? From which standpoint everyone is related? Okay, all are Atma, all are Brahman Atma. Okay, fine. From that standpoint, everyone is related. There you can't say everyone is related, because related means there are two. When everything is Atman and Brahman, it's only one. Okay, Ishwar Srishti, yes, absolutely. From the Jiva, from Sharira standpoint, Jiva standpoint. When I am this body, from the standpoint of I am the body, everyone's related. There is no one who is not related. Yes, life also. Everyone's related as long as I'm this individual. Wherever I am related, everyone's related. We are all, from that standpoint, individuals in Ishwar Srishti, call it anything. We are all related. Far, 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 far. We can't see the links, but every being is related. An action of one being can affect anyone else without knowing who it will affect. That's the strength of the relation. And from which standpoint we are not related? No one's related from which standpoint? Okay, from the Atma standpoint, no one is death. Very good. In a way, yes. From the same Sharir standpoint, nobody is related because you yourself are not the body. When I believe that I am the body, everything is related. ये मेरे चाचा, ये मेरे मामा, ये मेरे uncle, this is my uncle, that is my aunt, that is my grandchild, this is my neighbor, that is my neighbor's friend, that is my, what is it? There is this app, I think there is, which is showing us the degrees of relation, second degree, third, what is it? There's an app like that, which is, I forget the exact word, circles, degrees of circles or something like this. And it is trying to show, even up to seventh circle, people have found relations. Means uska karke, and if you know, and you slowly they are beginning to realize everybody is related to everybody. How? Because I'm this body, I'm this individual, I'm this name, I'm this form. But am I this name and this form? Am I this individual? This body itself I have to discard. I'll be leaving it. जब शरीर ही मेरा नहीं है तो यहाँ मेरा क्या है? From which standpoint is anything related? When body only I am not, then how is all this me and me related? So when we say everything is related, it is from presupposing that I am this body and I am this individual. But the same body, if I go inward backwards, am I really the body? Is it always going to be with me? Will I really think this body is continuously going to serve me? Next Janma also, I'll have the same body. Impossible. Fantastic reflection. It gives so much anandam in a way. Even if you think, my God, it is the only lifetime I have this body, it will never be repeated. I will never get the same body again. However beautiful, however not so happy I am with this present body, बस यही है अभी आपके पास जब तक आपका जन्म है, बस ये शरीर आपका इसी जन्म इसी प्रारब्ध को भोगने के लिए है. It is never going to be repeated. A water that has run down the river is not ever returning back. It only goes forward. That's the gati of karma. That's the gati of life. It doesn't reverse back at all. That understanding, when you have established and you have given up the external unnecessary involvements and chases. Now, why those who wanted deep contemplation, all those people took to minimizing their possessions. It is, we just saw a verse. If you only minimize the possession, but your mind is dwelling, in Bhagavad Gita also we saw, and in Bhaj Govindam also we saw. Here in Bhaj Govindam, what was it? Which verse was it? You give up all possessions, but your mind is holding on to it. No one? Here. Verse 14. Very good. Very good. Very good, Shalini. One of them is this. There are more verses. You are taken all kinds of external simplifications of life, but your mind is not attached to the truth. He sees not. And absolutely, yes. So 16, there are a few verses here in the similar, throughout Bhaj Govindam, you get it.
It seems also the
There are a few verses. You can get the same message through all of them. So, what is the idea? That simplification is not necessary. But yet, there are people who have taken to simplification because it saves on time, it saves on energy, it saves on, many years ago, somebody, at least I know I did it. There's no discipline that has come into our, we've not taken any vow. But why? If you have a similar colored clothes, then you don't have to go and buy new dupattas for every time. The same dupatta will continue, which means how much energy you have saved, how much time you have saved. Forget that. Who's this person? Facebook founder? Who is he? Whoever. What does he also says what? He also says he only wears one pair of Zuckerberg, right? Mark Zuckerberg. He also has the same form. Dunya, maybe he's doing that. You have an example in the world who's understood, multi-millionaires, all of them. There you have lots of such examples who have really understood where is this preciousness of time and energy to be diverted. He's just one example. There are more like that. There was another one, forgot the name, but idea you've all got. So this verse is telling us a person who out of Steve Jobs also, yes, another one also, there are many few more like that. A person who has actually understood ultimately everything is not worthy of the attention we give them more than what they should get. These are the people who, simplifying their life and pursuits, preserving their time, energy from non-essentials, directing it to the essentials. Bhaj Govindam ke liye time chahiye na, not the study. Bhaj Govindam ke liye time chahiye. The study is also for Bhaj Govindam ke liye time chahiye. So for that, he says, they have vairagyam. And whoever has vairagyam, how come they will not have sukham? It is impossible that vairagya does not give sukh, because that is a direct cause of sukh, is vairagya. Rag can never give sukh. Only vairagya gives sukh. And that is why sukh is so difficult to have, seemingly. Why? Because giving up that rag is not easy. Rag, if we give up, we have vairagyam. Vairagyam is a direct cause of sukham, relative. But that doesn't become easy. Now he talks in the 19th verse. The one who has vairagyam and is now established in discovering Atmarati, Atmatripti, Atmasantushti, that happiness is me, myself. I am the source of happiness. And from relative degree, I am also the source of my own unhappiness. The Anandam is here within me. Atma is actually Anandam. How is Atma Anandam? Its Swarupam is Anandam. Its nature is Anandam. There is no other. Since there is no other, there is no sorrow there. It is nothing but pure. State is a wrong word. It is nothing but pure joy. It doesn't mean anandam. It doesn't mean bliss. It doesn't mean peace. It doesn't mean contentment. It does all this put together. Its nature is that. When you say what is the nature of sun, what is the nature of sun? What is its nature? जब आप सोचो उसके बारे में, what is its nature? Means sun and nature of sun, they coexist. You can't have one without the other. If there is no light and heat, you can't call that object sun. Sun is only a name for its nature. Similarly, what is nature of a living being? Every living being, not just human being. What is the nature of entire creation that is seen as inert also? Its nature is Sat Chit, and where there is life, Anandam. That's without it, it cannot be. And yet, look at the irony. My nature is Anandam. And who am I? What am I? That irony, that Anandam, I am not abiding in. And I'm in search of that Anandam. I'm looking for Anandam. I'm looking for happiness. I'm wanting happiness, more happiness, much more than this. I have, but I want more. That sort of a thing. He says, one who has that vairagyam, after that, he becomes unconditional in life. Independently anandi hai wo. Has no conditions, and it's a great state of freedom. And that freedom, this verse is talking about by giving various chases, like what? Yoga Rattova, delighting, Rath hai, enjoying in yoga, means enjoying in the pursuit of the disciplines and higher and seeking. Yoga Rato Va, or Bhoga Rato Va, or reveling, enjoying in the bhogas, lollipops. So I'm enjoying either in my spiritual disciplines. There are so many people who have such an air because Even in Vedantic studies, students develop certain kind of illusion that I know, that yogaratova. There's a subtle ahankar that comes up with knowledge also. Yogaratova, bhogaratova, either in yoga or in bhoga. Sangaratova, sangavihinaha. This is one of my favorite verses of all time. Sangaratova, this person can be happy along with people, has no issues, no relational issues with anybody. Why? Can anybody give an answer? Why he has no relational issues with anybody? People can have issues with him. He doesn't have issues with anybody. Why?
Expectation results.
All right, good. And more simpler than that, that is also right. Because
Rag dvesh nahi hoga, to expectation
excellent.
bhi
Excellent. No
He's
rag
at
dvesh.
peace with himself.
Why? He's at peace with himself. Because he has no rag dvesh propelling him into relations. He doesn't have rag dvesh. Therefore, he is okay with everybody. He very easily fits in every sort of company, even in the company of the bhogis. He will fit very comfortably like hand in glove. It's very surprising to see this as a spiritual trait, really speaking. People don't understand this. The one who can be equally comfortable, equally in being with people, sangavihinaha, or being independent of people, alone, solitude, living by himself. He revels being by himself also without company, and he enjoys company also. Who can be in this state? And these are both extreme states shown, yoga and bhoga. Sangarataha, sangavihinaha. Who can enjoy these contradictory states equally? Yasya brahmani ramate chittam. In whom revels the Brahman, in whose mind is attached to the higher, whose mind is attached to the higher, and the highest is Brahman, who keeps the mind attached to higher values, to higher goals, to higher within oneself. Such a one, nandati, nandati, nandati iti eva. Always is in revel, is always in a state of joy. Is never, you know how our peaks are, what we call as moods. हम उठे तो बहुत अच्छे थे और थोड़ी देर में a phone call or a maid not come or something happened or tire punctured. I was going and the tire punctured. Something happened. Suddenly, what happens to that mind? I woke up thinking, this today is going to be a day I'm going to practice everything, and I have got it in I'm inspired. Today's day is going to be dwell in my own joy. Nothing will stop me today. Nothing will obstruct my happiness today. I'll overcome everything. Within a few minutes and hours, put down. And then slowly I say, okay, no. Again, I put in the Purusharth. Again, I lift it up. Again, thodi der ke liye nandati, gone after a little while. How much of this in a day we fluctuate, what we call as our moods? Nandati iti eva. Such a person whose mind is always in a state of content and joy. Call it samatvam, call it joy, is what he says. Here he says a stanza attributed to Anand Giri. Above or below, I don't know which way. I'll have to check also. But that's the verse. Okay, and then next verse also he says, okay, we should end the class here. Next verse he says, Very interesting. In these three verses, these are all students of Shankara who are giving one verse. In the next verse, he says, even if you have a little spiritual discipline in your life, you don't have to do, though he said sarva parigraha, etc. But if you have little discipline in your life, even then, yama means at death, there'll be no conflict, there'll be no argument, there'll be no discussion with yama, means to say that you will not resist the change, you will not, you'll be at peace at the end. Yama will obey you rather than you will be arguing with you. Give me a little more life. I have this work left. I have to do that. मेरे अभी grandchild की शादी नहीं हुई. मेरा अभी मैंने अभी अपनी will नहीं लिखी. For whatever reason, we need a life. You know, all those things. Yamena na charcha. There'll be no discussions with yama because there is no fear for change. Fear's gone. Why? Because you know you are abiding in those things that are eternal. They are eternal principles. And here in the three, he gives three examples. I'll quickly say Bhagavad Gita, Kinchit Adhita. Little bit, even if you have studied the Bhagavad Gita, and we are very blessed. We have been studying. We study a lot of Bhagavad Gita. Ganga Jalla Kanika Pita. Even if you have taken one sip, Lava Kanika, one sip of Ganga, which means your heart has had some devotion sometimes, and you have been able to see the divinity through nature. Our rivers are divine, our plants are divine, our everything. So even if you have that little idea of divinity in you, and you have taken one drop of Ganga, means have devotion. Even if you have once little Murari Samarcha, you've done Archana of Murari. Murari is another name for Vishnu, who's killed one of the Asuras, whose name was similar. Sakrit Api. Sakrit, even a little, sometimes once actually. Yena Murari Samarcha. Kriyate, who has done these. How much? We have a huge life in front of average. Everybody has 60, 70, 80 years of life. In 60, 70, 80 years of life, all that Shankara is saying, here his student, okay, is saying, even if you've done a little study of the Bhagavad Gita, even if you've had one drop of Ganga, and even if once in your lifetime you have done actual remembrance of Murari, Tasya Yamena na charcha. For him, there'll be no discussion, no fear of death. There'll be no fear will go. So that's the verse. We'll take it up next class. I forgot to share the presentation. I'll share it in the next class for this verse also. Okay, so I'll just end it here. Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Dhanyavad.
Thank you, Dipti.
Thank you.
धन्यवाद दीप्ति जी, धन्यवाद.
Dhanyavad everyone. Hari Om, Hari Om. Just take care everyone. Stay fine. Hari Om. Recording.
Recording stopped.
All right. Hari Om. No questions? Good. Hari Om, everyone. Thank you.